All right, I want to thank the organizers. This is a poem called The Assassinations of Ruben Salazar, and I'll just get right into it. A cover-up, an investigation, a police riot, an inquest, hit pieces, redactions, the assassinations of Ruben Salazar. August 29th, 1970, Calif Saslan. From all corners of the Southwest, 5% of the country and 20% of the dead. Chicanos 30,000 deep in the streets of East Los Angeles. A war abroad, a war at home, the pigs, the batons, the gas, the dogs, Ruben Salazar, ducks into silver dollar. Deputy Wilson stalks Whittier Boulevard. Salazar ran a story for the Times, 2 brothers, Mexican dead, a police murder. With every reason to believe there was a cover-up. Wilson approaches. Ruben has joked with friends. What this movement really needs is a martyr. Ruben once wrote of a bridge and a river. Ruben takes his life in his hands every time Salazar lifts his pen. Deputy Wilson lifts his rifle. Is it time? Is it near? Is it done? Why must the measure of a life always be weighed in blood? Husband, father, martyr, champion, hero, our voice. Deputy Wilson fires his rifle. A gas canister crashed in silver dollar. Ruben is struck. Salazar is dead. September 15th, 1970, Los Angeles. The inquest into the death of Salazar. DA asked questions about sticks and stones, broken windows, and posters of Che Guevara, and there's every reason to believe there will be a cover-up. September 15th, 1970, occupied America, where they shoot the messenger, then question the photographer, where they kill a man, then name a park in his honor, where every military occupation requires a character assassination, where murderers redact their own documents, where cowards sit in office where man once stood, that run for decades with lies. Is it August 29th? Is it September 15th? Is it 1970? Is it 1846? Is it 1519? Is it 1915? Is it 1492? Is it 2019? Is it the same day? On repeat, is our fight still in the barrio? Is Brown still beautiful? Are they still killing us? Are they still killing us? Ruben, are they still killing us? The Chicanos still need power. Nuestra lucha sigue aquí.
Let's go. Volver, volver.
We have Vicky Castro, Rachel Ochoa. Vicky Castro and Rachel Ochoa were some of the first people from the YCCA to go into the education and start working on the walkouts and organizing the schools. We have Ralph Ramirez and Dr. David Sanchez, who were also with the YCCA, who also were helping with the school walkouts, who were the original organizers of the Chicano moratoriums in East LA. The Brown Berets, the well-known Brown Berets that were in there. They stuck out there and they were the first to show more assertive action. Then there is Carlos Callejo. There are three great artists that I recognize. Emilio Vasquez, my mentor, Carlos Callejo, and Ignacio Gomez. We have over here sitting down looking all cute and everything. It's Ernesto Corona, the son of the infamous viejo del movimiento, el abuelito del movimiento, Bert Corona. He is the son of Bert Corona. And then over here, we have, and I have a lot of respect for him and his family, Coqui Rodriguez, one of the greatest RIC community organizers that I've ever seen. These individuals are going to give you a 5-minute talk each, and then after they talk, I would implore you, I would beg you, ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I got to remember to recognize Ruby and Alan Wu, the community organization that helped us sponsor this.
First of all, good morning, good afternoon. It's really an honor to be here. My name is Vicky Castro, and as he was introducing the panel, there was also another common strand. We just about all of us, whether we were there full-time, thrown out, or whatever, attended Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights. So we're all from the same neighborhood. Another common bond we had, and that school, the way they treated us. We probably at the time didn't understand the discrimination or the low expectations, but it was also what brought us to ask for change. But what changed my life and how I met many of these was in 1963, the LA County Commission on Human Relations sponsored the first then called Mexican American Youth Leadership Conference. And at that time, I was a senior in high school. I got selected. And I'm going to be honest with you, being from Roosevelt, Boyle Heights and everything, I never knew I was a minority. I just didn't know. You know, we're all last time, and it was a very mixed school. We had Asians, we had Chinese, we had Judíos, we had Japanese. So other than when it came to, and black students, other than it came to being in academic classes, that's where you saw the discrimination. I was very fortunate. I had brothers that were gifted, and so they monitored my high school, made sure I was in the college prep classes. And so I returned, and as I had mentioned, I had brothers that told me I had to go to a four-year college. It was not my desire. I didn't want to hang out with my friends, go to football games, the dances, the sports nights. But I also knew I had a real strict father, and I did my homework. I wanted to go to Mills College in Oakland, all female, run by nuns. If I got accepted, Dad, you're not going to let me go? So I went to ask the college counselor, how do I apply? I don't know how. And she just straight up, with my little transcripts, said, well, I think you should go to a 2-year college, and if you do well, maybe you can transfer. I still didn't have it in me to speak back and say, no, I want the application, I want the process, that's your job. I still didn't have it. I still was not of the mental capacity to be really angry yet until my first day on campus at then Cal State LA in the middle of Avario. My first day, there were no Chicanos on class. We had a long walkway, and as you walked, you saw somebody out, you know that way we do, we check each other out with our eyes. So you would do that like, is he or isn't he or is she or whatever. And the only other people I knew on that campus at that time were other students that had gone to Hess Kramer. So we organized, or rather we ate lunch together, and we struggled to get through Cal State. By that time, and maybe they'll remember, I don't know how I got selected to be a peer counselor and go back as a college student.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I am so overwhelmed being here among the greats. The greats. This is like a historical event, and any younger people who are here today should get some selfies with these great people. However, I'm a person of a family of 11 siblings. My family goes back to Chavez Ravine. Can you imagine? So that's their first struggle. They ended up in Boyle Heights. We were going from one barrio of Boyle Heights to another when we finally settled in an area called the Malabar area. And that's where I went to elementary school. Belvedere Junior High School, Roosevelt High School, and at that time, my mentality was I just wanted to be a cheerleader. And what's with that? I don't know. I thought, oh, maybe if I'm a cheerleader, I could be popular. I don't know. But I soon lost that when I attended Camp Hess Kramer. And I met Vicky Castro, and I met these famous people. I want to tell you that Ralph Ramirez is my classmate from Roosevelt High School. My friend's father worked for the County Commission on Human Relations. Mr. Art Almanza recently passed away. And he said, Rachel, I need people to attend this conference. Can you attend? I said, sure. He said, not only that, can you find some other Latinos from other than Roosevelt and Garfield? I said, oh, just give me the paper. And I went out and recruited all my cousins from all over. They were from, because now the family of my mother's 10 siblings had scattered all the way because when they left Chavez Ravine, they had to find a place of their own. So some of them were living in Watts, which at that time, they used to be called Cacahuates. And then some of them lived in El Sereno, Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights, all over the place. So Highland Park. So I got my cousins to come from all these different high schools, and they thank me to this day. And so I met Vicki there, and what she described as my experience, our experience at Campus Kramer. First of all, it was a Jewish retreat center. So can you imagine, we're coming in buses from the barrios of Boyle Heights and all the little Lincoln Heights, El Sereno Heights, all the area. And then we're seeing all this beach area. We come this Malibu. I don't think I've ever heard of Malibu, even though I had only heard of Marano Beach. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, and Huntington Beach and all those kinds of things, but I had never heard of Malibu, so we're there. And that's where we got an insight. I first met Sal Castro there, and we got an insight of leadership and training, but they were not training us for a specific thing. They were just giving us the tools.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name is Ralph Ramirez, and I've lived in Boyle Heights or East LA most of my life up to my 20s. I always thought that when I was born that we lived in Boyle Heights, and actually for about a year we lived on Central Avenue. So, but at the age of 1, we moved to Boyle Heights, and I stayed there until my 20s. My involvement with the Chicano movement began at Roosevelt High School. And that's when I met Dr. David Sanchez to my left. He wasn't a doctor then. When we met, it had nothing to do with politics. I think we were gambling with there was an area of the school where everybody would go gamble, and for some reason the teachers, they hardly bothered us. I guess they figured that, these kids are just wasting their life anyway, we'll just let them gamble, okay. But then we started getting more serious and talking about the different problems in the schools. Like Rachel mentioned, they had the tracking system where a small amount of students were tracked into the college prep classes, and everybody else was tracked into, with the girls, it was homemaking. With the boys, it was shop classes that were way outdated. This was the 60s, and like say auto shop, you were working on 1940s cars, so it was like, just a path to nowhere, or what now they would call the school to prison pipeline. So we decided, we have to do something about this. So David was involved, along with Vicki and Rachel, in the Young Citizens for Community Action. So I joined in 1966. In 1967, we became the Young Chicanos for Community Action. Because we switched our emphasis from dealing more with educational issues. We would leave that to groups like UMAS and MECHA. And we went to the issue of police malpractice and police brutality, which was running rampant. We had 3 law enforcement agencies in the East LA area. We had the Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, and the California Highway Patrol. You normally think of the highway patrols patrolling the freeways, but they were right there, just right there in the neighborhoods too, along with the others. So we were totally over-policed. So we decided we have to do something about this. People were getting killed, people were getting brutalized. So we had a demonstration at the East LA Sheriff's Station in November of 1967. And that's when we first started wearing the brown berets, but we still kept the name Young Chicanos for Community Action. But then about a month later, after hearing the cops refer to us, they started calling us brown berets. So we decided, you know what? They're using it as an insult, but actually, it's like an unintended compliment. So we decided to change our name to the Brown Berets. And in March in 1960, well, prior to March 1968, like the beginning of the year or the end of 1967, we started organizing along with the high school students and some of the college students to have a walkout to bring our demands to the attention of the school board and the other city authorities because they weren't listening to us. They weren't going to make any changes. We helped get Dr. Julian Nava elected to the Board of Education. He was the first Chicano like in over 100 years to get that position, but there was only so much he could do. I think he had, with 6 other members, none of them were Chicanos, so he really he was ineffective. Maybe it wasn't his own fault. So we decided we have to take things in our own hands. So we had the walkouts from Garfield High School, Roosevelt High School, Lincoln High School, Wilson High School, later on, Belmont, and a brother in the audience told me his high school walked out, Manual Arts High School. Yes. So it was almost citywide. And it was very successful, but when it came down to, the brass tacks of making the different reforms, they started putting all these bureaucratic obstacles in the way. And another big issue at that time, of course, was the Vietnam War. The Chicanos, the Raza was getting drafted disproportionately. We were 12% of the population, 20% of the casualties. So we decided we can't tolerate this, so we organized the Chicano moratorium marches. And everybody knows about the August 29th, 1970, but actually there were 6 marches. There were 2 marches preceding that, and there was another 3 after that, and maybe we can even count, David could talk more about this, the Marcha de la Reconquista. That started in May 1971, started in Calexico, California, and it terminated in Sacramento, California, the state capital. So that could even be, if you consider that, there were 7 marches that went along with the moratorium. And I think Abe Moya's T-shirt attests to that. It says Chicano struggle or something to that effect, 1969 to 1971. So my time's running out, so I did want to mention the martyrs of the movement. Ruben Salazar was mentioned in the poem by Mr. Cedillo. But however, on that same day, August 29th, we had a Brown Beret Lieutenant, Lynn Ward, who was killed. Angel Diaz was killed. And another moratorium march, January 31st, Gustav Montag, who wasn't even a Chicano, he was an Austrian sympathizer with the movement, and he was killed by the Sheriff's Department on the streets of East LA. So
I'm going to stand up. I just drove an hour on the freeway coming over here, so let's give Abe a welcoming hand for putting this thing together here. Thank you. I would also like to introduce Gracie Diaz, Public Relations for the Brown Beret National Party. Okay, so much has happened, but, I never stopped. A lot of people stop being a Brown Beret for many reasons, but I continue to be a Brown Beret because of the need. I mean, it was like coming around the 1990s, it was like the movement was completely dead. It was dying out. And so I looked at the Stop the Violence issue, and because 1,200 Chicanos are getting killed every year in LA County, I said that would be a good issue for the Brown Berets, so I recommissioned the Brown Berets to continue on the movement and to stop the violence, and we did stop the violence, saving hundreds of lives. So that just goes to show you that the Brown Berets is a tactical, or always has been very tactical, even in the school walkouts. And, all the things that we've been through, I just, so many stories I can't tell you in 5 minutes. But I must tell you that even today, there's an atomic bomb that's been dropped in our schools, affecting our community, affecting the minds and the brains of our Chicano children, and we need to fight those schools because if they continue on, they're going to mess these kids up. And the reason why they were trying to mess these kids up is because right now, today, there are 5 million Mexican-American students in the state of California, and that is power. Yeah. And that's why we have to continue on this struggle, because the Chicano movement, I believe, and I know, it will rise again. But as it rises again, it must work also from the past experiences that we have been successful in. Also, the past victories. We had many victories, and we continue to have victories. For example, the Brown Berets were instrumental in pressuring the government to bring down the gasoline prices last year because the gasoline prices was wrecking the economy. The Brown Berets is a pressure organization, civil rights organization, and a cultural rights organization, and we always need people to continue on the movement. Before I finish off, I'd just like to say a word from my sponsor. You gotta get this book. This book is, going to help all of us. If I get enough money, I'm going to buy a bus for the Brown Berets. What I'm trying to say is this book, I wrote one page every day, and then finally it came together. And I sent the book to the Library of Congress, right? And then somebody called me up, so a book company called me up, and they thought that this book, Chicano Universe, Advanced Intelligence, the book company thought it was science fiction. And so I had to throw a little science fiction in there. Anyway, I talk about some of the experiences, how the Raza, how we have confronted and come across phenomena and ghosts and everything else in East LA. Balls of light, all kinds of things have happened in East LA that we don't even talk about. Anyway, we cover a little bit about that, but more than anything, this book is about making us more intelligent. Advanced intelligence. I try to advance intelligence, the Brown Book, back to the community, back to our students, back to the adults, so that we can have a better understanding of how the world works for us and how the world is working against us. So please, Viva la Raza, and I'll finish up now, 5 minutes is up. Anyway, invite me to come out and speak. I'm available, and the Brown Berets are available, and we need more Brown Berets. So we're here, and Viva la Raza. Also, the Rolas family, the people that I know here from F2, I know a lot of people here too. Yeah, glad to be back in Santana. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carlos Callejo. Hello. Cola de conejo. No, but, I'm real proud to be here. I wasn't too sure why Abe actually called me here. I know I've had a lot of history, and I'm real appreciative that he kind of recognizes a lot of my work. And sometimes I get a little disturbed. Why am I being asked? Normally, I've been around for a while, so I was part of the participatory role in the walkouts, in the Chicano moratorium. It wasn't until kind of way later on that my participatory role sort of changed more into a more proactive, more organizational type of role. So I really don't have that much experience like a lot of these wonderful individuals have. But I kind of get it. I think he wanted to kind of cover like different ends of the spectrum, I guess, of the Chicano movimiento experience, like the walkouts. Recently in the 1940 anniversary of the walkouts, I received a plaque at the school board, the LA school board, and I said, well, why am I getting a plaque? I was just a like a kid trying to get out of school, So I said, why, but I guess because of my role, just because I was a participatory. So it wasn't until later that sort of changed. I think one of the catalysts, though, events that took place in my life that sort of really kind of spearhead my involvement was actually the Chicano moratorium, because I think for me it plays a very significant historical event that sort of changes. I mean, it should be. That's why also I'm so proud of our young councilman here to declare, to be able to declare August as Chicano Heritage Month, because it is a very historical role and something that needs to be brought about and for the sake of the new generation. It should be like the day of resistance for the Chicano, and I think that it's important, because I think the whole significance of Chicanismo, is being lost, is being attacked, and historically has been attacked in many ways. There's different ways of exploitation that's brought to us by our adversaries or people that don't want us here. Of course, the reality, the physical realities is hard-working conditions, bad education, bad health care, all that stuff. But besides that, is also the psychological exploitation that goes on, and that's why the whole significance of Chicano Chicanismo came about. It wasn't just a struggle about economic or political struggle. It was a thing about identity, about self-identity. And I think I've always been kind of proud that nobody had to introduce me to the movimiento. I think I was always part of it. Coming from El Paso, Texas at a very early age, predominantly speaking Spanish, and going and getting placed right in the heart of inner city schools in East LA, and seeing that experience, seeing that, all the stuff that we were being taught at that time, about the whole thing about racism and discrimination, that kind of stuff, going to East LA, I didn't quite see that. But I did see the discrimination. But it wasn't against race to race. It was the whole thing about Mexican nationals versus Mexican Americans. So that means that plays a very significant. I'm not going to talk. I know I only have 5 minutes, but you're talking about the psychological part of exploitation. That the indoctrination that is brought by our systems, and this is where the Chicano movement and plays a role in changing that idea. So anyway, I don't know what 5 minutes, but I'll be with the questions and answers. I'll be glad to talk a lot about what I think should be done at this point, because a lot of times we talk about what went on back in the days, but I think it's important that we're in new times, and then we as elders are here for consultation and for the new generation, not to reinvent the wheel, that we're here to use us. Use us. Not that we're gonna take. Not that we need to take leadership roles. We need to be here for consultation. So please use us. With that, I'll thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Abram for having me here, especially with such a incredible panel. When Abram told me, "Wow, I want to have you on the panel," I was like, "Well, what am I going to talk about, right?" You can't talk about Hermandad without, discussing my father's legacy, especially with everything he did. He grew up in El Paso, Texas, moved to Los Angeles on a basketball scholarship to USC. Eventually he dropped out, not because he wanted to, but because he really wanted to dedicate his life to the labor movement. Eventually that evolved into, many other organizations, the CSO, AMNA, Centro de Acción Social Autónomo. Ay, disculpa. The Chicano, his involvement in the Chicano moratorium, you really can't talk about his legacy without looking at all the organizations he helped develop and grow and really push forward. So I think it's important to mention all those other organizations and give the recognition so that we could look to the past so that we know what to do in the future, right? I know nowadays it's a little bit different with the social media and we have to be more involved online. It's not so much like, oh, let's show up, rally together, right? It's having our presence there and, having our elders get them in front of a camera. We have stories, so many important stories to share, so many organizational tactics that have to be shared that aren't seen nowadays, right? So, Hermandad really developed out of that. The work that Nativo Lopez did in Orange County was very important. Before his passing, I wanted to interview him, but, schedule conflicts and stuff. And so may he rest in peace. And, it's important that we recognize everyone that came before us. And, Hermandad continues his legacy by organizing the undocumented, supporting the undocumented through our social services. We provide affordable housing. We do, paperwork for, undocumented and documented folks throughout the Southern California region. So I just want to say thank you again and, look forward to meeting all of you afterwards.
Pleasure to be here with such distinguished people. But before I start, I want to talk about Carlos Callejo a little bit. You know what? Carlos Callejo is badass, okay? Let me tell you, he's the first guy that put up a mural in East LA on the walls of Estrada Courts on police brutality and killings. That's what he did. And during the struggles around 68, the massacres of Mexico, the students, and then the halcones in 71, Carlos was over there, and he did some of the artwork that depicted, one that stands out, there's people walking back. They're walking back, their backs to you, and here comes a tank that the government unleashed. But that's one of his, besides all the great work he's done. But let me, and we got to give it to him. Anyway, so people who talk about that movements die, that's bullshit. Movements don't die. We have ebb and flow. There's 5 historical aspects of movements, okay? The workers can strike. We saw that here during the turn of the century for the fight for the 8-hour working day, the general strikes that went on all over the world. Another phase, the second phase, is we're led by the clergy. You see that in the civil rights movement, where a lot of the churches in the South and all that spearheaded. We couldn't talk about that in our community because we didn't have church leaders that were really out there doing that type of work. The other is where students leave the movement. And we saw that in the 60s throughout the world, the movement of the students throughout the world demanding an end to the Vietnam War. Here, students in the Chicano movement, the walkouts, etc., not only in 68 and 70, also in 70 were way larger than 1970. I give due respect to people who did lead the strike in 68, but we organized 35 schools throughout the county. But then you have, and there's the Mayo, all the students that, and also in the Crusade for Justice who led strikes. You have the violent movement, the uprising, and throughout the world, historically, people would fight back. And then you have the electoral struggle that when the elected officials try to take hold of the movement and present progressive legislation, we're going through part of that phase. And look at what Brother Jonathan did here. I mean, that's amazing what they did to declare the first city to declare in this country Chicano Heritage Month. We got to take that shit and go put it to every city. Okay? So anyway, I got a minute and a half. So anyway, the thing is, whoever tells you the Chicano movement's dead or this, that, I ain't dead. I mean, I got to meet him at 17, and you know what he told me? He goes, Jorge had a lot of potential. He brought me down to earth. But anyway, this Brother Corona is the godfather and Chole a la Torre, godmother of immigrant rights. But anyway, so thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate being here in the honor of all these folks. Thank you. Going to eventually happen because the demographics have changed so much. I mean, we're going to take over most of this country without firing a bullet. So the reality is a lot of changes are going to be moving and taking place all over this country. And so,
keep the cops out of the schools.
Well, there's no way you're going to keep cops out of school if you don't change the Board of Education. If you don't organize people to get progressive folks on those boards of education, you could complain all you want. You could say they're bad or they're oppressing our students. They stopped giving them citations up and down the state for truancy, but that don't mean nothing. Everybody can complain about it, but if we don't educate, organize, and get out in the streets, it ain't going to change. Hey, you know what? We need all the allies we can get. So there's white allies, there's black, Asian, other people. The fact is, everybody crosses line into working class people. And a lot of our folks are mixed race, man. It's the reality. Two of my grandkids are white and Mexican, but they identify as Mexican. Well, it's obvious who's their grandfather, but that's it, I would say that. I mean, we got the numbers, right? But the numbers don't mean nothing, not unless we politicize the people. The problem is Chicano identification. Not enough people identify with being Chicano. That's our first bridge that we need to make.
When we were working out of the Church of the Epiphany, we were very privileged to have Cesar Chavez as one of our speakers on how to organize. And it always stayed with me. It begins with a one-on-one conversation. And that never changed. And so when I had an issue, I would start to talk people one-on-one to convince them, are you with me? Or can we go forward? And then challenge them to have that conversation. So, wherever you are, whether it's a little issue or a large issue, it begins with one-on-one personal.
My last statement and the closing statement for what we did. What we heard here is we heard the veteranos of the Chicano movement that I've told you and gave the foundation and started the foundation of the Chicano movement back in the day, and they're still doing it. We have a lot of work to do. We haven't finished. We have to go on it. We have education to get in there and to be able to put our cultural thing, like Chicano history, into the educational system. Like Koki's saying over there, it's up to you guys to do it, to develop and create community organizations to go after the school district or get on the school boards to make those changes. We need more Chicano history. This thing about banning the history in some of the states is BS. All history should be in there. We need more workers out there, more unions to work, and the workers need to get their fair share and fair shake, both undocumented and the documented. All workers need to be done, and we need a good family, and our barrios need to be taken care of, and that could be taken care of by you guys in self-determination, taking care of your own barrio, organizing in your own barrios like the Woos do in their association, and keep going and working on that. If there's problems, take care of it. This is Chicano Heritage Month. This is a month that deals with a lot for us. And my last words for Chicano Heritage Month, for you guys, for everybody, is we have to celebrate our history, educate our youth, and unite as a strong force. You see, you have 5 fingers, right? Not just one, not just this one, not just this one, not just this one. But if you put all 5 together, you have a fist. And we are the fist. So celebrate, educate, and unite during Chicano History Month. Thank you. Thank you for your participation, and thank you. I bow. Let's give these guys a big hand. Thank you.
Hi, my name is James. I'm here at the Chicano Moratorium Seminar at El Salvador Community Center. I'm here with Michi and she's going to explain to us a little bit about her artwork.
Okay, hi everybody. So the piece that I decided to do was Jovita Ida. She was born in 1885 and died in 1946. And basically I was telling James that she was I consider her like one of the Chicana godmothers, because she was already doing and fighting for Mexican American rights, civil rights in the early 1900s. And she was a teacher, and she promoted education and wanted equality for Mexican Americans. And she was also a journalist, and that's why I put like the Astrea. That was her journalist nickname, so that she wouldn't be looked down upon, or just basic human rights, right? So she was really looking out also for the children. She was also a nurse. So she did, look her up, Jovita Ida. She was amazing. The list of things that she did, it was amazing and inspiring. So that was my painting. And I did an acrylic on canvas.
Have you ever met Ignacio?
Yes, Ignacio Gomez is one of my dear friends. I've known him for a long time, or I know of him also for a long time. He was the one that had done the artwork for the movie with Edward James Olmos, the Suit Suitors. Yeah, exactly. So Pachucos. But he has done a lot of artwork. Just also, pioneering Chicano, Mexican American, doctors and engineers and scientists and poets and writers. And Ignacio Gomez has always been at the forefront of doing that kind of artwork. Yeah.
It was back when segregation was going on. Yeah, he said he's gonna come by later to take some pictures. On the first day of football.
Yeah. Name's Victor Mendez Jr., Vice President of Santana Car Club, third generation. Right here at Chicano Park Heritage, representing literally our backyard. Our club started right here, based on this park with other streets. So we got a lot of history with the park. And we're here showcasing our cars. As you can see, it's a happy wife, happy life couple right there. And the other ones, we got female riders, and we got a 60s truck that's gonna be hopefully plaqued. It comes back from the 40s, where first the Zoot Suiters, and now us. I know mainstream media portrays these cars as gangsters. We're not gangsters. We're all hard-working American people.
Hey, I'm Victor Longoria from Orange County Car Club. Orange County Car Club is we represent, and we're here at El Salvador Park with the Chicano Heritage Festival today. It was put together with us in the city of Santa Ana. And it's important to us because we're being recognized, all the different communities get recognized, and finally we're right up there with the best of them, Orange County, Chicanos, we all stand together, man, that's what we're about. Our car club's been around since about '96. Yeah, we've been around for quite a while. We go everywhere, we're all over the place, we don't just stay local, we go all over the place. We help out with the community as much as we can. We do what we can to make it right for everybody, and it's what we do,
Hello, my name is Jose de Santos. I am with Sabor Car Club Orange County. We are here celebrating Chicano Heritage Month. Just having a good time, family, friends, car shows, concert, a lot of stuff for the kids. Real good time. Yeah, we contribute to the community a lot in different ways. Right now we're supporting a bill called AB 436, Cruising is Not a Crime, Toys for Tots in December in Anaheim. School backpack giveaways, we contribute to a lot of those car shows as well. But yeah, we go everywhere, Orange County, LA, Inland Empire. We try to go out there and represent,
the council. And I'm proud to say, when Jonathan Ryan Hernandez brought this idea to me and the Santa Ana City Council pushed it forward, Santa Ana became the first city in the United States to commemorate the Celebrate Chicano Heritage Month in August. And then we became the first city in the United States to do that in California, thanks to the leadership, to the guidance of the Santa Ana City Council. And thank you, City of Santa Ana, for remembering the history, the culture, the contribution, nuestra cultura. Thank you.
Just wanted to say, please come and join us. We're going to unveil the mural. And you know what? I want to say my thank yous to the mayor. She's awesome. Jonathan and Congressman, they have been amazing pushing this. And look at where we're at. Wow, Santana has made this happen.
Ready on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Look at how beautiful that is.
My name is Tonantzin Reyes. I am 24 years old. I'm an artist and a tattoo artist. I'm from the community Artista Pilar, and we're here in the heart at El Salvador Park, you know, having an art show for the community. Let me tell you a little bit about this piece. This is one of my pieces I did, I want to say 2 years ago. It's basically to represent, you know, all of the struggles that comes with being Mexican descendant and Chicano and the system that we live in today. You know, it's on the bottom you basically have the roots, you know what I'm saying? It's the past of our people, and then on the top you have the present where our people of Mexican descendants, they deal with in the community today. And yeah, it's basically the struggle, and it represents everything that we go through as brown people here in the system, in the United States of America.
Hello everybody, my name is Sincero, born and raised here in the city of Santa Ana. And this is my artwork. I'm portraying street vendors. This lady in particular, her name is Alondra. She actually passed away selling flowers. She got hit by a car, unfortunately, and succumbed to her injuries.
You gotta check it out. We have a mural over on 5th and Jackson over here down the street. And we had the ChicanoArtists&Friends. And then the motto for the Chicano Heritage is celebrate, educate, and unify.
We'll come back and get some t-shirts.
All right, that would really appreciate that. Glad to meet you too.